Hey, good afternoon. Call the meeting of the Capital Program Oversight Committee to order. Mr. Wetherell, are there any members of the public who have registered and wish to speak?
Mr. Chairman, there is one speaker, Jason Pinero.
My last meeting of the day. Good afternoon, Ronnie Hakem. Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
This time I'm gonna be pretty short. I'm in favor of all the projects that are presented to you regarding Long Island Railroad and Metro North. It is time to give an upgrade to our infrastructure, especially after Superstorm Sandy. So keep up the work and see you guys on Wednesday.
Thank you. I think that concludes public speakers. Mr. Spiro, are there any changes to the work plan?
There are no changes.
And then we're ready for the LIR Capital Program update. Oh, excuse me, I forgot. Minutes from April's meeting. There's a motion. Second. Are there any changes or comments? Hearing none. All in favor? The minutes are approved. Now we're ready for LIR Capital Program update.
Good afternoon. I'm Paul Dietland, Chief Engineer of Program Management for the Long Island Railroad. Today I'll be presenting an update on the Long Island Railroad Capital Program, along with the status of several significant projects, including the Mainline Double Track, Jamaica capacity improvements, and our Sandy projects. This chart represents the status of Long Island Railroad's 2017 capital program goals as of the end of April. In 2016, our goal was $472 million in commitments, and we achieved $522 million. Our 2017 commitment goal of $685 million is 45% higher than 2016. I just want to note that these goals do not include the M9 fleet or the mainline expansion projects. To date, we've achieved $240 million in commitments, and we are trending on target to achieve our 2017 goals. This slide shows our major starts and completions, which include project tasks over $10 million. A check mark with bold text indicates the goal has been achieved. Major starts achieved to date include the 2017 track program earlier in February this year, and three major completions were made to date. That's our 150th Street Bridge rehabilitation in Jamaica, our escalator replacement program, and an employee facilities renewal project, which addressed work at several facilities. I'd like to talk about a few active construction projects. For today's reporting, all the dates described are based on annual planning dates based on the rollout of the new capital program. Our first station, Wantagh Station Rehabilitation Project, includes replacement of the existing 12-car Center Island platform, installation of an automated snow and ice melt system, new canopy, stairs, elevator, escalator, and other systems. Phase 1 is well underway with replacement of the eastern half of the Wantagh platform. We expect to turn this over late this summer and transition to reconstruction of the western portion of the station platform. The first photo shows a rendering of the new station platform, and the two photos to the right show the installation of the precast platform slabs and new substructures. This project remains on schedule and within budget. Hicksville. Hicksville Station is our third busiest station. It's a key transfer point for our customers for the Port Jefferson and Ronkonkoma branches.
It goes on the Wantagh Station replacement. Will that preclude service for a period of time, or?
No, the Wantagh Station platform reconstruction is being done in halves. So what we do is we do the east half or the western half. Customers board, the front 6 cars or last 6 cars of the train. The Hicksville Station is, again, our third busiest station. The reconstruction is very challenging, with close to 275 trains passing through the station each day while we service 23,000 customers. The Hicksville Station project includes replacement of the 2 elevated 12-car platforms, escalators, new elevators, stairways, canopies, waiting rooms, and systems. In addition, the project includes the construction of a new north track siding extension into the station. The construction contract for the Hicksville Station improvements was awarded in July 2016. Although the construction completion date has slipped 4 months since last reporting, the project remains on schedule for the beneficial use date, and it's within budget. The contractor has been performing under-platform repairs, excavating for the new tunnel staircases to the west, and reconstructing the south platform. We're also installing hydronic piping to facilitate the future installation of an automated snow and ice melt system. The project is scheduled to be completed in the summer of 2018, and in order to complete this work and return both platforms as early as possible, the contractor has been given exclusive use of Platform A and Station Track 1 for construction during the 2017 summer service plan, which began today. And for the last station project, this is our escalator replacement project. It provided for replacement of escalators and associated equipment at 6 stations on the Babylon branch, specifically Lindenhurst, Freeport, Amityville, Copeg, Rockville Center, and Baldwin. The escalator replacement program reached beneficial use in April of this year, and the program included replacing the escalators with wider and more energy efficient systems. The photos shown here are of the new escalator at Baldwin, which was the last station completed in April. I'll move on to some yards projects. The existing locomotive shop at Morris Park was originally built in 1889 and is well beyond its useful life. This design-build project includes construction of a new locomotive shop, employee and material storage facilities, as well as 4 new outside storage tracks in the yard. The locomotive shop will have 4 service and 1 release track, a double-ended drop table, and overhead cranes, and a back shop to support maintenance work of our equipment. The employee and storage facility will house offices, conference rooms, and employee spaces, as well as a warehouse. We'll also be doing some work on the transfer tracks to the new motor lead out of the yard. In an effort to advance the construction of the shop, the Long Island Railroad hired a small business mentor program contractor to perform pre-construction work and site preparations, including existing debris and track removals, improvements to site access, and preparations for the new shop space. The design-build project is currently in the procurement phase. The planned award and beneficial use dates were each adjusted 6 months since last reported, from the first quarter of 2017 to the third quarter of 2017 for award, as well as the third quarter of 2019 and the first quarter of 2020 for beneficial use. These were adjusted to coincide with our necessary approvals and our procurement schedule. The project does remain within budget. Out east, we'll be undertaking the design build of the Mid-Suffolk Yard, and we'll expand the existing Ronkonkoma Yard with 11 additional 12-car capacity storage tracks. The yard will provide the needed East End train storage capacity for East Side access. In addition to the new yard tracks, the project will include a drill track, a new employee facility to replace the existing, and a storage building, some outdoor material and laydown areas, as well as AC and DC power substations. Design-build construction for Mid-Suffolk Yard is scheduled to start late in 2017 with an anticipated 30-month construction duration. The project's award and beneficial use dates has also have been readjusted 6 months since last reported due to the lag in completion of the preliminary engineering documents and finalization of some options for the RFP. The project does remain within budget. I'll update you on some line structures projects. The Buckram Road Bridge Replacement Project. This design build will replace the bridge located on the Oyster Bay branch between Locust Valley and Oyster Bay stations. Currently, we're on schedule and within budget. The existing bridge has 3 spans with a single track running over it. The bridge will be replaced with a single track through girder structure Through best value analysis, it was determined that 2 of the existing spans could be replaced with retaining structures that would reduce project costs and future maintenance. This bridge was originally constructed in 1889. It's currently prone to vehicular strikes due to its current clearance. The new bridge will be constructed to meet New York State DOT vertical clearance requirements. During a weekend outage planned for late spring of 2018, the existing bridge will be removed and the new bridge will be installed.
Question. On the issues like the Buckram Road Bridge and the Post Avenue Bridge, it would really be great if the town that they were in were reflected somewhere on those pages.
Oh, okay. I can do that. Yes, this is in. No problem. Thank you. For a Post Avenue.
While we're at it, can we clear up the confusion as to which county really owns the name Morris Park?
Whichever one does is going to pay for the building? Is that the intent here?
No, it's on you.
Our Post Avenue Bridge Replacement Project. This design-build project will replace Post Avenue Bridge, which is in Westbury on the main line. The project remains on schedule and within budget. The effort will complete the design, remove the existing 2-bay track structure, and install a new 3-bay track structure to accommodate a future 3rd track. This bridge was originally constructed in 1914. It's currently subject to frequent bridge strikes. It will also be raised to meet New York State DOT requirements. And we plan to do this work on a weekend outage, October 21st and 22nd of this year. And we'll look to remove the old bridge and replace it with a new structure using a self-propelled modular transport unit. This annual project shown provides for the cyclical state of good repair for our track infrastructure. This slide notes the proposed goals and actuals completed through April 30th for the annual track program. Elements of work are described on the chart and include significant things such as ties, grade crossing renewals, and switch replacement. The project remains on schedule to complete its planned goals within budget. We started in March this year, so we're going to trend towards making our goals. For signal normal replacement, this project provides for a life cycle replacement and rehabilitation of signal assets that are approaching or have reached their useful life. The construction work started in February of 2016. The project remains on schedule for this year. This slide, the quantities shown, represent the proposed 5-year program and the actuals completed through April of 30th this year. For 2017, we'll be replacing some switch machines and brook interlocking. On the Atlantic branch, we'll be replacing other signal apparatus at various locations, over 15,000 feet of signal cable, and tremendous amount of work with some existing equipment cases, battery cases, and grade crossing equipment. For our power assets, this slide talks about our state of good repair program. The power system replacement includes third rail cables, disconnect switches, composite rail, and other power elements. Our substation replacement effort includes 5 traction power substations and a breaker house located in Meadowbrook, Belmore, Ocean Avenue, Murray Hill, Jamaica, and our Queens breaker house. The substation component replacement portion includes replacement of motor generators, transformers, breakers, and other power components for our traction power system. Preliminary engineering for the Meadowbrook substation is complete. We're looking to procure a design-build contractor, and we anticipate awarding that at the end of this year in the 4th quarter. We're also preparing designs or preliminary engineering work for Ocean Avenue and Belmore substations right now, and currently remain on schedule per plan and on budget. So now I'll just give you an overview of the Jamaica capacity improvements and mainline double track projects. For Jamaica capacity, as part of our Jamaica improvements phase 1, we will be building a 6th platform at Jamaica required to support service, future service to our western terminals. This is one of the East Side Access Readiness projects, and we are currently progressing on schedule and within budget. As the top photo illustrates, construction is well underway. The tracks in Johnson Avenue Yard have been shifted south under a separate design-build contract that was completed in April of 2016, and the Jamaica Station southernmost tracks have been shifted north with the recently completed cutover of the South Bypass tracks. While this cutover was 5 months later than previously reported, it did not anticipate or did not impact Platform F or the beneficial use date. And those track moves now make room for the new Platform F. Our Platform F construction contract was awarded in September of 2016. The contractor has commenced work on site and really started working in earnest this past month, doing some demolition of our Sutphin Boulevard Bridge. Installation of high-speed universal or higher-speed universal crossovers at Union Metropolitan and Beaver interlockings will provide greater access to the station and facilitate future reconstruction of Jamaica interlockings under Phase 2, which will commence in 2019 with a completion forecasted for the third quarter of 2020. We will continue to monitor and coordinate force account resources to get these crossovers installed. The procurement of a design for the Phase 2 reconfiguration was advertised. Our technical proposals are currently under review. Phase 2 entails a complete streamlining and upgrade of the Jamaica interlockings for increased throughput and increased routes, and to bring the Jamaica infrastructure to a state of good repair. The Phase 2 reconfiguration will be constructed in future capital programs. Our mainline double track project is well underway. As you may recall, the double track project is split between 2 phases, with Phase 1 consisting of 5.3 miles of track from Ronkonkoma to west of Central Islip. It's funded in the 2010 to 2014 capital program. Phase 2 consists of 7.3 miles of track from west of Central Islip to Farmingdale and includes new platforms at Wyandanch and Pine Lawn stations. It's funded in the 2015 to 2019 capital program. The design-build construction for Phase 1, our civil and site work contract, was completed in May 2016, and that included all the retaining walls and earthwork needed for track and systems installation. Long Island Railroad forces have completed the majority of the track installation and surfacing. Third rail is being installed on the new track, and Signal and Communications are performing preparatory work before the delivery of the new signal equipment. The contractor for the new signal system continues fabricating equipment. Initial deliveries will begin with the Central Islip CIL, or Central Instrument location, in early June, and final deliveries are in line with contractual dates. We are projecting a Phase 1 completion in the first quarter of 2018 and remain on budget and within schedule for that portion. These are photos that just show the third rail, new track and third rail systems. There's some retaining wall that's been installed, and a view of a control panel from pond interlocking. The design-build construction for Phase 2, the civil and site work package, is also progressing on schedule and will be completed later this year. We're in the process of procuring a third-party contractor to install the track and systems for Phase 2. The contract is currently anticipated to be awarded late this month, and this contractor will be responsible for installing the new track, third rail, signal, and communication systems for Phase 2. The design and construction of Wyandanch and Pine Lawn stations are also included in this contract. Long Island Railroad Force Account will continue to perform work on the existing track in the substations and perform terminations and cutovers. We continue to work towards accelerating the substantial completion date to the late summer in 2018. And here's just a photo, shows the track bed preparation in Wyandanch. station area, and some retaining wall construction in the Deer Park area. I'll now provide a brief update on our Sandy projects. For our substation replacement and restoration project, the scope includes the replacement of restoration of four substations in low-lying areas that were flooded during Sandy, specifically Long Island City, Oceanside, Oil City, and Long Beach. The final substation equipment for Long Beach was delivered in March of 2017 and is currently in construction. The foundations of these substations were raised to place the units above the established floodplain of the base flood elevation plus 4 feet. We anticipate beneficial use of the Long Beach substation in the first quarter of 2018, and we remain on schedule and within budget. For our Long Beach systems restoration project, it includes replacement of all the third rail and communication components from Long Beach Yard to East Rockaway, along with the damaged signal system. The first of 15 signal bungalows has been delivered and set late last month. The equipment is being installed on elevated platforms constructed by a small business mentor program contractor, also to keep the equipment out of the flood zone. The project's approximately 47% complete and on time and within budget. And the photos just show some of the work that's taken place, as well as the center photo, which shows that elevated platform. The scope of the rec lead systems restoration project includes replacement of the emergency generator, some damaged bridge electrical and signal and communication systems, as well as replacement of submarine cables across the channel. The emergency generator was installed in June of 2015. We've completed, or Force Account has completed, the bridge and walkway lighting, and a third-party contractor is nearly complete installing 16 armored power and signal cables across the channel. This is a design-build effort. Cables are buried in a 9-foot deep trench and are covered by a concrete mattress to guard against future disturbance. Of course, we had to coordinate with the Army Corps of Engineers and the Coast Guard to obtain permits since it's a navigable waterway. We anticipate beneficial use the end of next month. In West Side Yard, we are restoring several elements: switch machines, signal cables and equipment, communication equipment, traction power systems, and several facilities power systems, lighting and fire alarm systems, all damaged during Sandy. This project is progressing on schedule and within budget. We anticipate beneficial use in the second quarter of 2019, and we continue to coordinate with ongoing West Side Yard work and available track outages. And finally, for our West Side Yard and East River Tunnel flood mitigation construction, this project provides for flood protection walls and barriers to protect assets at West Side Yard and the East River tunnels. Preliminary engineering is underway. And the construction work will be performed under a future design-build construction project. The scope includes some permanent flood barrier walls at the north, west, and south perimeters of West Side Yard, rehabilitation of the West Side Yard drainage system and walkway surfaces. There'll be some permanent flood barrier walls at the approach to our Queens East River Tunnel portals, and installation of removable flood barrier walls above the Queens portals, as well as some perimeter flood barrier walls at East River Tunnel number 2. We're very early in design at this point, 5%. So that's all I have.
Bert.
On signal normal replacement, currently Long Island Railroad's signal system is in a state of good repair. That's correct, right? So this is to maintain that.
Yes.
Right. Is it to update it in any way? In other words, move from some relays to solid state or that type of thing? I'm just trying to grasp what this is.
This is a normal replacement of equipment piece by piece. it's you know,
So
not
it's
necessary.
almost maintenance,
Yes,
really. Even though
maintenance.
it's a
Right.
capital program,
Yes.
it's really considered maintenance. Is this work coordinated with PTC?
Well,
Does it have to be? I would assume.
I mean, whenever we plan our work, we look for opportunities to share or, you know, not mix work. We don't want to install something that will then be removed or affected by PTC, things like that.
On Morris Park, are all the environmental issues resolved in the soil and all that? That's all been remedied?
Well, yep.
Everything, so we don't have to worry about
we
that?
We have some certain conditions or stipulations that we have to abide by when we do any work there. We have to notify the DEC, and we'll be installing we'll have to take precautions when we're doing certain pieces of the soil work, but we've addressed all the real outstanding issues at Morris Park.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We have an IEC review on first Phase 1 of Jamaica capacity improvements.
Good afternoon. My name is Calvin Gordon. I'm presenting the IEC's project review for Jamaica Capacity Improvement Phase 1. And looking at the schedule and budget review, reviewing the schedule, the project team has shown that there was one interim milestone that has slipped since last reported. However, the IEC agrees that the project remains on schedule for East Side Access Opening Day service. On the budget, currently the overall project is on budget and expenditures to date reflect the percentage of project completion. The IEC agrees with the progress reported by Long Island Railroad. Finally, looking at IEC observations, the independent engineer is satisfied with the agency's risk mitigation efforts to date. However, there is a concern regarding force account availability. This is a concern that was brought up at the October 2016 CPOC. The IEC suggests Long Island Railroad performs long-term outage planning using an integrated project schedule, as several key projects will be competing for similar resources in 2018, and these projects have key milestones that need to be met in order to maintain their prospective project schedule. That concludes the IEC's project review.
Good afternoon. My name is Mohammad Mohammadinia, and I'll be doing the independent engineer's review of the mainline double track. The agency has combined Phase 1 and Phase 2 into one project. As previously reported, the civil portion of Phase 1 reached substantial completion in May 2016. From this point forward, the IEC will report on Phase 1 and Phase 2 as one project. The project is on schedule. However, in the opinion of the IEC, the total project schedule is aggressive with minimal float. There is 1 month of float left in the project between 3 contracts with 17 months to substantial completion. Regarding budget review, the project is on budget with the expenditures to date reflecting the correct percentage of project completion. In light of the contract awards and bids received for the final contract of the project, in the opinion of the IEC, at this time, the remaining project contingency appear to be sufficient to reach substantial completion. Regarding observations, as previously identified, a delay in signal equipment delivery is both a cost and schedule risk to the project. During the RFP procurement, the Long Island Railroad incentivized the early delivery of huts and cases. The agency project management team has been performing factory visits and attending factory acceptance testing prior to the delivery of equipment. The latest schedule update confirms that the final signal equipment deliveries and signal equipment substantial completion are in line with contract dates. The IEC will continue to monitor this risk. This concludes the IEC's review of the mainline double track project.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on the IEC's report? Thank you. Now we're ready to go to Metro North Capital Program update. Mr. Kennard.
Try that again. Good afternoon. John Kennard from Metro North Railroad. I'm going to go quickly through where we are with our commitments and completions targets for 2017 and then move into 3 major projects that we're going to report on. On slide 42, we'll report through April of 2017. We have year goals of $421 million in commitments and $120 million for annual goal for completions. Through April, Metro North has committed $128 million, or 87% of the $142 million goal through April, so we're in good shape there. We had some minor slips, a couple months. We'll catch up on those. Through April, Metro North has completed $5 million, or 46% of our $12 million goal. So we had a little bit worse in that area. Again, some minor slips. I think we're confident that we'll complete the catch up on those projects and move forward toward the annual goal. I'm now going to report on the major projects. The first is 2 projects underneath the Superstorm Sandy Restoration Resiliency, and the second is Phase 5 of the Harmon Shop Replacement Project. The map you see here indicates where the flooding storm surge was from Superstorm Sandy, essentially from the Bronx to Croton-Harmon, about 35 miles north of Grand Central. There are 2 projects we're progressing. One is a 2-phase project for communication signals and power infrastructure replacement. That is shown in the red and the yellow. And in the white box is we're replacing 3 substations at Riverdale, Terrytown, and Croton-Harmon. The first project is a 2-phase, $301 million design-build project. Right now we're in the midst of Phase 1, which is from Croton-Harmon to Greystone. Phase 1A is actually underway right now. We're doing trough, cable, and conduit installation from Croton-Harmon to Terrytown. We expect that 10-mile segment to be completed in September of this year. Phase 1B, which is similar work from Terrytown to Greystone, will commence right after that in October. Phase 2, which is future work, is from Mott Haven in the Bronx to Greystone. Design development and preliminary design to final design is progressing. Field survey is underway with the joint venture as well as Metro North forces. Phase 2 implementation plans are being formulated right now. Force account and flag support, which are critical to the success of the project, are also being analyzed about see if we can provide the necessary support versus the needs of the joint venture. On the next slide, we talk about schedule. So the schedule for the project for Phase 1 is 18 months late. When we last reported on you, we were about 6 to 9 months late. So we've slipped in that time frame. What we found is that initial startup challenges that we encountered early, and also now with working along this right-of-way, very constrained area, limited space either between the river and riprap or between the track 3, which is the eastern track, and essentially the topography as it moves up into the river towns. What we found was that there was more design work should have been undertaken at the beginning to help avoid some of these risks. And these 2 pictures I think are important. The one on the bottom left is a wall in Ossining. In this area, we anticipated to put most of the conduit in the ground, with the exception of 4 conduits. Due to site constraints, due to the rock that we found there, we've ended up putting all 12 of the conduits on the wall. So what that ended up doing was taking more time to get that work done. In the picture on the right, which is an area on the track 3 side of Phillips Manor, you can see in the picture we are right up against the concrete ties, which may be a little bit harder to see. Just to the east of the excavation that we're doing is the existing infrastructure itself, a cable trough. So there's very limited space in this area for us to put in a cable trough or conduit system. The other side was just as bad. The distance between track 4 and the riprap and the river was constrained as well. What we're looking to do as we move forward is some mitigation that we've picked up in Phase 1, and then we'll continue, as well as additional things that we've been working with the JV. The long-term outages, which we lay out as we do this work, are obviously set with a sunset. For example, the most recent one we expected to be done on April 1st. The joint venture was not done with that. We made a choice with them to extend that outage a month to May 1st because a continuous outage is a much more efficient way to do the work. If we had essentially taken away the continuous outage, they would have ended up doing that work at nights and on weekends, which would have been more efficient and probably lost a little bit more time. We increased the flagging. In our contract, we had a contractual obligation to provide 12 flags. We increased that to 16 flags, 33% increase. expecting that to help us with the productivity in the first phase that's ongoing. Essentially, what really happened was we had an uptick for a while, but then what happened was we encountered very difficult areas, and I think what happened with the 16 flags is we would have lost more time if we hadn't gone to the 16 flags. They were essentially absorbed for the work that was ongoing. Another thing that we're doing for looking at it going forward is we're looking at progressing Phase 1 and Phase 2 as an overlap. The way we set it up to begin with, we were going to finish Phase 1 and then we're going to start Phase 2. We're now looking at a way to do that as an overlap. We're looking also at any means we can to increase the productivity. One example of that is the next phase, Phase 1B, was originally supposed to have a mix on the Track 4 side of about 42%, or 14,000 linear feet was supposed to be on Track 4, and 58%, 19,000 linear feet, was supposed to be on Track 3. Track 3, as you saw in the pictures at the Ossining Wall in Phillips Manor, is the most constrained part of the area. What we've done in working with a joint venture is more than flipped it, but we flipped to the point now where 73% of the work, 24,000 linear feet, is being done on the Track 4 side and the remainder on Track 3. So we think we'll pick up more productivity in that area. Generally, we think we'll move from 500 linear feet productivity to 800 feet. We'll see if that actually happens, but that's the way we've seen it progress so far. The next phase is Phase 2, so that's Mott Haven and Greystone. The start date we're looking at right now with a joint venture. We're waiting for formal schedules to review with them. The conversations have thus far have been more informal. We believe they're going to propose a schedule that they think they can pull back the end date of the project. Right now we're holding to the 18-month delay. We want to see how they do in Phase 1B. That's our one of our real issues that we want to understand. We don't want them to start work on Phase 2 to the detriment of Phase 1B. We want to keep this project moving. As I said, Phase 2 is under review. We want to make sure they can support it as well as Metro North can support it as well. The next slide is the budget impact. Right now, Metro North is assessing the impact to the budget resulting for the overall 18-month delay. We believe that the acceleration of Phase 2, if it can be supported on both sides, will have a positive impact on that. Risk management, risk assessment was completed, recognizing the challenges I talked about, implementing in a very restricted area next to the right-of-way. The risk assessment going forward will be updated periodically through the completion of the project, so we can keep working with the IEC and working with the risk assessor to keep track of the project. The next Sandy project is the replacement of 3 substations, as I said, at Croton, Harmon, Terrytown, and Riverdale. That was awarded in December of 2014 with completion of October of this year. Croton Harmon, which is by schedule, is a little bit behind the other 2. We're doing factory acceptance testing right now of the electrical switchgear. We expect a delivery next month, and then we'll start moving into final testing and commissioning with a completion of October. Terrytown and Riverdale, we've done component testing and switchgear, terminations, etc. In the substation vaults, a little bit ahead of where we are in Croton Harmon. So we're going to move towards final commissioning and power cutover with the same completion dates of October 2017. Overall, the project is about 6 months behind due to delays in some of the equipment fabrication that we ran into and test failures and relays and DC rectifiers. So we're moving past that, but we did encounter a 6-month delay. The next slide is just some photos of the Riverdale and Croton Harmon vaults, which is essentially what the equipment is now moved up onto to get it outside of a Superstorm Sandy-like storm surge. Now the equipment is now 5, 6, 8 feet up out of the flood zone. The picture of Terrytown is actually some of the DC switchgear and traction power equipment that's being installed. The final project is the Harmon shop replacement. We are in a phase 5 of multi-program and multi-year program. So we've been doing this for quite some time. Right now we are in stage 1.1 and 1.2, which you can see on the map. On the east side of the existing facility, we are building a 119,000 square foot consist facility. And on the west side, which is indicated by stage 1.2, we're building a $74,000 EMU annex, electric multiple unit annex, which will take care of some small shops. Both of those projects are funded by the 2010 to 2014 capital program. The last stage 2 of phase 5 is EMU running repair and support shop, which is in the middle, stage 2. That will be funded underneath the 2015-19 capital program, and that will begin upon completion of the phase 1. Excuse me. Phase 5, stage 1 is a $316 million budgeted project with completion next January. At both facilities, insulated metal walls have been completed. We're doing roof installations. We're putting in interior concrete masonry walls, doing mechanical, electrical, and plumbing utilities. We're commencing interior painting. The project is within budget and scheduled for completion in January with a potential 2-month delay that Metro looks to mitigate. That delay is caused by some of the equipment that has to go into the EMU annex, which right now the manufacturer, fabricator is indicating may be delayed. We're looking to mitigate that. The next couple of slides are photos of the progress we've made. On the left, you can see the Consist shop facility. When we last reported last October, we were still in the middle of installation of the steel. We've completed that, and now we are in the process of completing the exterior shell and then moving ourselves inside the building as well. On the next slide, which is the EMU annex, which is on the west side of the facility, at the time we reported to you last time, we actually had all the steel installed, so we're a little bit ahead of this. We've done all the exterior work. We put in this translucent screen so we can try to get some natural light into the facility as well, and we're working on the roofing and the interiors. The last picture is just a look at the interior of the buildings themselves, where we're starting to move into installing the equipment that has to be installed to run the shop. The final slide on Harmon Shop is the Phase 5 Stage 2 work. This is a $442 million project, which we anticipate awarding July of 2018 with the completion of July of 2022. Right now we're in a 30% design, which we'll submit it in March of this year, and we're looking to start pulling together the RFP documentations and make an advertisement. The updated risk assessment, which we've provided, or which we've done in the past, based on the 30% preliminary design, is anticipated in June of 2017. The last slide today is some additional upcoming design build projects that Metro-North is pursuing. The first 3 will be reported as major projects, so going forward in CPOC, we'll report on those. The first is the Grand Central Terminal public address and VIS head end, which is the central control, and the replacement of the big board and the display monitors, gate curtains, and things like that, and also customer communication installations at our outlying stations. Also, we'll report on Croton Harmon Phase 5 Stage 2. Other upcoming design build efforts that are ongoing that we're in the midst of designing are enhanced stations at 5 of our stations, as well as overhead bridge at 14th Avenue in Mount Vernon, which will actually be moving towards award. We will begin that work in the summer of this year.
If there are no questions or comments, I'd like to ask the IEC to offer the review on Hudson Line Sandy restoration.
Thank you. My name is Mark Cosmetti, and first I'll start with the Hudson Line project review. The IEC agrees with Metro-North that the Phase 1 schedule has slipped approximately 18 months to December 2018. The most important schedule metric on this project is the productivity of the installation of 30 miles of cable trough. Thus far, the contractor has not achieved the production rates estimated. One of the major contributing factors is the site constraints working within the tight right-of-way. The first 2 long-term continuous track outages were extended. The first one was extended approximately 7 months. Second one on the outbound local track was completed last month, which was approximately 6 months longer than planned. The contractor is presently adding the Phase 2 work to the schedule. The overall forecast completion date of both project phases will be known when the contractor completes the schedule revision. On budget, as previously reported, the existing budget is not sufficient to complete both phases. Major reason is that the additional project time due to the delay will result in additional monthly soft costs. A risk assessment update workshop was performed to help identify threats to the schedule and budget. The update includes the current cost and schedule information and current productivity rates and track outage planning. The results are approximately in line with current forecasts. Based on the results, Metro-North has developed risk mitigations. As Metro-North mentioned, the project team has undertaken mitigation efforts designed to increase the weekly production rates and therefore improve the schedule and budget. Those efforts included increasing the number of flaggers provided per day over the contractual amount and to allow the contractor to use additional crews. Metro-North also extended the first 2 long-term continuous outages until that work was complete to avoid having the contractor return to work areas later. The IEC believes there is a potential to increase the production rates in the next work stages as there are areas with fewer site constraints and more areas to install the trough. There may be efficiencies in flagging available, which will allow increasing the number of crews without increasing the number of flaggers. The IEC will periodically update the risk model to include the revised production rates, which will help track the schedule and help identify potential mitigations. Next, I'll review the Harmon Concert Shop. The project is within budget. In our opinion, the remaining project contingency is sufficient to reach substantial completion within the current budget, considering the cost of the change orders to date. As Metro-North reported, the latest contractor schedule update is showing an approximately 3-month potential delay to completion, mainly due to delays in contractor submissions for the procurement of some of the shop equipment. At this time, all of the critical procurement submissions have been approved so that there will be no additional delay caused by this issue. The contract includes a number of interim milestones. All of the early contract milestones have been achieved. The remaining one, dealing with a track outage, is on schedule. The major budget risks identified during the risk assessment dealt with design changes and scope increase. Those risks have not been realized, and the likelihood of their occurring has been significantly reduced. The major budget risk at this point is a project delay, which would increase the soft costs. Most of the remaining major risks are schedule risks. 2 of the biggest schedule risks were the approval, manufacture, and delivery of the shop equipment and the testing and commissioning of that equipment. The overall testing and commissioning plan has been approved, and commissioning activities will start in August and last until substantial completion. Commissioning logs have been developed, which are updated during weekly commissioning meetings. The IEC believes that some, but not all, of the current forecast delay can be recovered. The IEC does believe that Stage 1 should be complete in time for the start of Stage 2. That concludes my report.
Any questions or comments on those 2 IEC project reviews? Thank you. If there are none, then I'd ask Executive Director Hakem to take us through the capital program status.
Thank you. I'd like to present the commitment and completion performance highlights through March, which begin on page 66 of the materials. In terms of commitments, in 2017, agencies plan to commit a total of $7.3 billion, which include 51 major commitments that we will track throughout the year. Through April, the MTA has made 13 major commitments. 11 of those were on time, and 2 were delayed but have since been committed. 7 major commitments remain delayed but are still forecast to be made through this year. Through April, agencies committed $1.6 billion versus a $2 billion year-to-date goal. The shortfall is due mainly to those 7 delayed major commitments listed in the report. But by year-end, the MTA forecasts meeting or exceeding its 2017 commitments goal. In terms of completions, in 2017, agencies plan a total of $5 billion in completions, which include 34 major completions that are tracked throughout the year. The MTA has achieved 5 major completions year-to-date, 4 were on time, and 1 was delayed. 2 major completions remain delayed but are still expected to be achieved this year. Through April, agencies completed $480 million versus a $700 million year-to-date goal, and that shortfall is due to those 2 delayed major completions. But by year-end, the MTA forecasts meeting or exceeding its completion goals as well. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on that? And then the business, we've concluded the business before this committee. If there's nothing else, may I have a motion to adjourn? Second, all in favor? Meeting's adjourned.